Your life is nothing but a collection of decades. Decades are made up of years, years are made up of months, months made up of weeks, and well, weeks are made up of days. This means the quality of your life is determined by the kind of actions that you partake in every single day. Now, with that said, when was the last time you actually questioned the kind of things you did on a normal day? For the purposes of this video, what we are going to do is that we are going to question, or rather, I am going to question one small part of your day, which are your mornings, right? You wake up in the morning, you brush, and you take a shit, you drink water probably and do things that normal humans do. And one of the first things that you do is actually drink coffee. Where did this habit come from? God only knows, right? Because maybe habit started developing when your entire family was doing it, and maybe you got that habit from them, maybe you got this habit from your brother, whatever it may be, you started drinking coffee, right? And one of the reasons may be why you drink coffee is that coffee makes you feel awake. Instantly upon waking, when you consume coffee, it makes you feel awake. But the one thing that people miss is that it only makes you feel awake instantly after consumption for a very few hours. The effects itself, they will start to fade, which means that after 12 hours and after the effects of caffeine has faded, your body will get to a state wherein it is actually more tired than it initially was before even consuming coffee. Also, when you drink coffee, you are sacrificing sustained energy in the long run for that quick burst of alertness in the short run. This in and of itself is an act of instant gratification, and I assume, if you're someone who's watching this video right now, I assume that you already know the disadvantages and the dangers of instant gratification. So if you're someone like me, and if you're someone who artistically thinks about every single thing that you do on a long-term basis, so if you think about the long-term benefits and the long-term effects of every single thing that you do, drinking coffee in and of itself, you can see how bad that simple habit is for your life. So what do you do about this? There are two distinct ways in which you can deal with coffee itself, and obviously I'll put these two ways out in the video. But one thing that I would request, or one thing that I would want from you guys, is that I would require you guys to choose for yourself out of the two ways that I mentioned in the video. So you cannot actually use both these ways simultaneously. So make sure you watch both of the ways in which you can deal with caffeine, and decide for yourself which way of dealing with caffeine is actually the best for you, or maybe try both of it out and see which one works for you the best, right? So now with that said, one final thing before we get into the steps is that whenever during the video, whenever I say that consuming coffee, or just whenever I use the term coffee in general, I'm not just referring to coffee, I'm referring to other forms of caffeine as well, like energy drinks, pre-workouts and stuff like that. So if you're someone who's I wake up in the morning and I don't actually drink coffee, but I consume an energy drink, this applies for you as well. All forms of caffeine. So I'm just using coffee as one substance to refer to instead of using the word caffeine again and again, because coffee is quite frankly the most common form of caffeine consumed by people in the world right now. And so now with that said, let's get into the two different ways in which you can deal with caffeine. The first way of dealing with coffee is treating it like a drug and completely cutting it out from your daily routine. This means you treat coffee some people treat alcohol, wherein you only engage or you only consume coffee rarely during special occasions, during parties or during meetups and stuff, but you essentially cut coffee out completely from your everyday life. Now, like this method implies, this method does require you to quit coffee, right? Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, if you're someone who has been consuming coffee since you were a little child, this process is going to be a little hard for you, right? This is basically a skill that you've been developing since you were a little child, and to reverse the skill, or to reverse this bad habit that you have formed throughout your entire life, the process is going to be a little hard. But as someone who has opted for this method personally, I will tell you that even though this method or this way of dealing with caffeine is going to be a little hard, there is so much light at the end of the tunnel, which means that there are a lot of benefits if you choose this method of dealing with coffee. I'll get to the benefits sometime later after explaining these methods properly. As far as the symptoms of quitting caffeine itself is concerned, the process is very, very different for each person. It's very subjective, which means that some people have been observed to feel high levels of anxiety, sleeplessness, headaches, and tiredness and stuff like that for long periods of time, and other people have been observed to feel different symptoms for very short periods of time. So whatever your case is, quitting coffee is not a symptomless process. It will have symptoms, so that is something that you should probably expect if at all this is the kind of method that you're choosing for. But I will personally guarantee you that this is the method which has the highest form of the feeling of achievement, as you literally feel like a conqueror after fulfilling this method properly. Now, I can tell you from personal experience, as like I said, this is the method that I followed. The first week without coffee will be terrible. It will be hard, right? It's supposed to be. I don't know the exact symptoms you as a person. Like I said that symptoms are very subjective, so I don't know the exact symptoms you will experience, but one of the few of the most common symptoms that people experience when they're in the process of quitting coffee is headaches, mild headaches, and tiredness and stuff like that, right? So the first week is going to be a little hard. I believe it's very, very important to think of quitting coffee itself with a long-term mindset, wherein you are not just looking to quit coffee in like a straight week. So I think it's also kind of unreasonable to think of it like that. So imagine you've been leveling up this skill, or you've been having this habit, you've been practicing this habit since you were a little child, since you for 10 or 11 years for some people, I guess. So when you've been practicing this habit for such a long time, don't you think it's a little unreasonable for you to think you can just quit this habit in like a week? I believe it's kind of unreasonable. So it's very, very useful and it's very, very necessary in my opinion to think of quitting coffee with a long-term mindset, as a long-term process, for example. So if you're someone who basically drinks 4 coffees a day, just bringing it down to 2 coffees a day will make so much difference in the quality of your life, right? Even though that will be hard, I think that will be a little hard, that is progress, right? So 4 coffees a day down to 2 coffees a day, down to 1 coffee a day for an entire week, and after that you can slowly cut these cups of coffee gradually till the point where you only drink 1 coffee a month. So from 4 coffees a day to get to 1 coffee a month, it will be a long process. That might take you 4 or 5 months or 6 months, but that is absolutely fine. It's supposed to be, that is normal. That is the way you kind of program your brain against this unhealthy habit that you've been developing for years on end, right? So for people who want to know what is a checkpoint that you have to reach to understand that you are free from the substance, 1 coffee a month is the checkpoint that you have to reach. That is a checkpoint I personally reached, and that is a checkpoint but I personally do believe that people gain the freedom back from this substance that took the freedom away from them in the first place, right? They get the freedom back, and I believe that is basically the point where you can independently make choices regarding coffee itself. Now, the benefits that I experienced after quitting coffee, as this is the method that I followed, was, well, first of all, deep sleep, better quality of sleep. What do I mean by better quality of sleep? Well, I was frankly dreaming quite a lot more than I initially was. This means that my body was entering deeper levels of sleep, or deep sleep, so many points during my sleep cycle itself. How do I know this? Again, I was dreaming, and you only dream during the deep sleep part or the REM sleep part, which stands for rapid eye movement for all the geeks who are watching this video. That is one of the benefits. Another benefit that I experienced was that my energy was that much more consistent throughout the day. So many people have observed to feel that energy dip during midday. I cannot say I stopped feeling it, as I believe that's a natural part of your circadian rhythm, but that decreased so much to the point where I would be so confident as to say that I practically don't even notice that dip anymore, right? Other than that, my mood has been stable, my emotional or mental health has been very, very stable. I have that much more control over my emotions, that much more control over the person I am, that much more control over my habits. And if you frankly ask me what kind of method that I would recommend you to follow, I would say method 1. That is me being biased towards the method I chose, right? So basically, that was method 1 of dealing with coffee, which was treating coffee like a drug and only indulging in coffee very rarely or during occasions. The second way, or the second method of dealing with coffee, is treating coffee like a performance enhancer. If you're someone who wants to consume coffee, if you're still someone who wants to consume coffee, this method is perfect for you. In this method, I am going to tell you about the healthy way of consuming coffee, or the healthy way of consuming caffeine in general, in a way where you still use, or you maximize the effectiveness of coffee, and you just maximize the performance aspect of coffee itself. For this to make proper sense, I have to get into some science, but I'll make sure I use simple language to explain the science. The way coffee, or caffeine in general as a substance, works is that after it enters your bloodstream, it increases the effectiveness of dopamine in your system. In plain English, this means that your motivation to do certain tasks will increase upon consuming coffee. Also, when you drink coffee, the effects of adenosine gets blocked out. What is adenosine? Well, adenosine is this neurochemical that builds up in our system the longer we are awake. So adenosine is also the neurochemical which is responsible for making us feel tired, or just making us want to rest more. So this is why when you drink coffee, you stop feeling as tired as you were before you drank coffee, because this neurochemical adenosine gets blocked out, which means even if your body is really tired, you won't necessarily feel it. Now, before I tell you when to consume coffee, I'll tell you how not to consume coffee, or rather when not to consume coffee. When not to consume coffee, or the worst time that you can consume coffee, is 10 to 12 hours before your bedtime. The reason for this is that caffeine, when it is in your system, it takes 10 to 12 hours for it to completely lose its effects or completely get flushed out of the system, I guess you can say. So once you go to sleep still having caffeine in your system, studies have like greatly shown that the effects of your sleep, even when you like do not feel it after like waking up, is greatly impacted. Like the quality of sleep is just like greatly impacted. So like after that, basically if you're a person who's like thinking to yourself, oh, but like I'm a person who like drinks coffee in the evenings but I still go to sleep fine, studies have basically shown that if at all you go to sleep without having that substance called caffeine in your system, you will like basically function better. That's just the cold-blooded reality of it. Well, now that you know when not to consume caffeine, I'll also like go ahead and tell you when to consume coffee, or the best way or the best time during which you can consume coffee. The best time to drink coffee is like after 90 minutes to like 120 minutes after you've woken up. The reason for this is for the first 90 to 120 minutes upon waking up, your body is still like getting used to this feeling of waking up, and your body is basically like restarting its systems. Now the neurochemical adenosine that I previously mentioned that is responsible for making your body feel tired is also not active for the first 90 minutes of the day. So if you want to like maximize the effectiveness of coffee, or you are probably a person who wants to like feel the best kick out of drinking coffee, so if you are this kind of a person, make sure you like consume coffee after like 90 minutes after waking up, because at that point you like block out that receptor or that neurochemical adenosine at the perfect moment, and you'll get the most boost out of drinking coffee. That basically sums up two of the best ways that I've personally come across in dealing with caffeine or dealing with coffee for that matter, which is one of the ways. For the method one is treating coffee like a drug, which is bad for you, like completely cutting it out from your daily routine. And the second method is basically treating coffee like a performance enhancer, which you still consume every single day. As mentioned in the video, method one, like treating coffee like a drug, was my personal choice. But if you find yourself more inclined towards the second method, if you find yourself as a person who wants to follow the second method more, go ahead, more power to you. And I'm just very curious to know how your experience goes for the next few months, right? As you consume coffee after 90 minutes after waking up, whatever works for you, right? Like whatever method works for you the best. But that's it. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I just hope this video has helped you in some way, shape or form. See ya.